I turned the occasion into a small extravaganza by inviting a couple of my friends over to film the shaving event. I figured we could use the footage to make a documentary, because that's what trans people do. Or I'd have the video from my own personal history, capturing the rite of passage as if it were my bar mitzvah. Except here I was both child and parent, 13 and 30 at the same time. I picked out a shaving outfit for Derek. A homoerotic Independence Day towel to wrap around his waist. Red, white, and blue, with 3 buff guys in faded denim jeans. It was pure Americana, gay kitsch. He chose our accessories, offering me a special hand towel that said his on the bottom. With our hand towels draped over our left shoulders, we squeezed together behind the sink. I was so puny next to him, like a sidekick, Robin to his Batman. I think I finally get the whole daddy boy thing now, I said. Did I tell you I got called daddy for the first time? These 3 little twins walked by and were all, "Hey, daddy." I was like, I am not your daddy. At least they didn't call you Papa Bear, I said. You're not a bear, right? If anything, I'm an otter. He looked at me, a proud grin on his face. I just learned about otters. They're like bears without the bulk. Hairy like grins. He paused. At least that's what I think. It probably depends on who you ask. It always depended on who you asked. But that was the fun part. Queer culture created an alternative language for me to shape the kind of man I could be. The traditional notions of manhood were too loaded for me to embrace. My path too full of slumber parties and innuendo girls sing-alongs. My identity too gender fluid. But modeling myself after an androgynous animal made sense to me. I can aspire to be an otter, right? Being an otter is well within your reach. But I don't think you could be a bear. Yeah, if anything, I'd be a cub. I waddled in place, hamming it up with the cute innocence I hope to retain. My jaw, my smell, my voice, it was all changing so quickly. Each day, it was a bit of a shock to see this new version of myself emerging. A strange cousin greeting me with open arms and a shit-eating grin. I leaned in closer to the mirror and watched the distance between me and my reflection disappear. I'm excited, I said. Derek splashed warm water on his face. I'm scared, he said, dragging his hands down his supple cheeks. I haven't shaved like this in years. What, did you forget what your face looks like? It just might be a little lower is all, he said. Your face is not falling. Yeah, it might be. He contemplated himself in the mirror, and I felt the heaviness of his self-reflection as I looked at the very same image. He was aging gracefully and beautifully, but he was aging. Everyone in my social circle was aging. Everyone except for me. A fountain of youth is a romantic idea, and I appreciated every bartender who'd asked me about this secret spring when carding me. I appreciated every Mrs. Robinson who'd ever told me that I'm darling. But I wanted women to flirt with me, not pinch my cheeks. Testosterone had started to trigger the physical changes, cultural cues, and social experiences associated with growing up. I thought little of an end goal, lacked a transition hope list, and had no specific fantasies of masculinity to fulfill. My rising joy came as a big surprise. I think this is the most exciting day of my life, I said. Derek squeezed Nivea foam onto each of our palms. Tentatively, I glazed my skin as if I were using water's colors instead of oil paints. I left blank spaces on the smooth patches of my cheeks. It's okay to shave in places that you don't have hair, Derek said. It's not going to hurt. I lathered on a second coat. I'm afraid of cutting myself, I said. Oh, you'll cut yourself sometimes, and that's okay. I hope to avoid some nicks tonight. I had work the next day. I didn't need my entire office noticing that I shaved poorly. I I'm just going to show you how I do it, he said. Starting near his sideburn, he dragged the razor down with a few short motions. The blade sounded like sandpaper on his skin. I touched my razor to my cheek, pressed and pulled. Oh my God, I said. I stopped, startled by the realization that I was taking a sharp object to my face. I could shave my legs blindfolded. I knew the contours of my ankle, calves, and knee. But here there were so many important body parts to negotiate. Nose, mouth, eyes, not to mention the jugular. This was the high-stakes real estate. My strokes were tentative. I feel like you're sawing your face, I said. You need to press harder, he replied. Oh my God, press harder. I had to rinse off my razor excessively. While Derek was shaving off thick, coarse hairs, I was jamming my blades with copious amounts of blonde protective fur. After I completed one cheek, Derek grabbed my chin and turned it to the side for inspection. Okay, you really need to press harder. But my peach fuzz is clogging my Mach 3. 3 freaking blades. I thought this thing was supposed to be powerful. Clearly no consumer testing had been done in the face of adolescence. How high do I go, I asked. As high as there's hair. Dude, I'm Jewish, I said. There's hair everywhere. Do I really go up near my eyebrows? We're here to get the hair off. It's what we do. Or she. I'd expected some steadfast rules, like the motherly warnings to teenage girls to stop at the thigh line. Not that anyone heeded these cautions. Outside of bear, and maybe otter culture, body hair was the greatest universal no-no of 21st century American beauty. Everyone I knew wanted to get all the hair off. Every hair I knew came back with a vengeance. I decided not to piss off the follicles near my temples. Despite Derek's fears, no aging alarm bells rang when he finished. He looked younger and less rough around the edges. I think I like it, he said. While he reconnected with his face, I worked silently. I slid my razor along the same territory again and again. My stroke-to-hair removal ratio was devastatingly low, my efficiency embarrassing. Eventually, I gave up and called myself done. I cupped warm water in my hands and splashed away the flecks of hair and last bits of cream. Derek offered me his aftershave, and I accepted it for the same reason I'll sometimes smoke a cigarette after sex, to partake in the complete experience. The alcohol tingled on my cheeks. I felt every vibrating air molecule as a breeze, my face sensitive and alive.